Magandang araw mga ka-aerial defense, may ibabahagi na naman ako sa inyo dahil ngayong araw na ito ay may bagay tayong pag-uusapan. Armed Forces of the Philippines at US Forces General, nag-usap para patatagin ang alyansa. Pero bago tayo magpatuloy, wag mo muna kalimutan mag-like, share, and subscribe. Paki-follow at like muna ng aming page na nasa description na ang link. Muling pinagtibay ng mga kasundaluhan ng Pilipinas at Estados Unidos ang alyansa ng mga ito. Kasunod ng pinakahuling insidente ng panghaharas ng China sa mga barko ng Pilipinas sa West Philippine Sea, ito ay matapos ang pakikipag-usap ni AFP Chief of Staff General Romeo Bronner Jr. kay United States Joint Chief of Staff General Charles Brown Jr.
Lalo na dahil sila ay treaty ally natin, meron yung EDCA sites na pag-usapan namin, yung ating joint maritime patrol and air patrols. Napag-usapan rin natin yung ginagawa natin na balikatan exercises. Binanggit niya yung commitment ng United States to continuously support the Philippines. At isa sa mga suporta na ibibigay nila is yun niya, na tuwing nagkakaroon tayo ng resupply mission, ay susuportahan tayo in terms of pagbibigay ng information sa atin. No? Hindi naman sila talagang didikit sa atin at mag-escort, but in terms of information, very vital information that we need, ay sila po ang nagbibigay.
Sa isang phone call kung saan tinalakay ng dalawa ang kasalukuyang security environment ngayon sa rehiyon, ayon kay AFP Public Affairs Office Chief Colonel Xerxes Trinidad, sa naturang pagpupulong ay napagkasunduan ng dalawang opisyal ang pagpapanatili sa close coordination sa pagitan ng Pilipinas at Estados Unidos, sa gitna ito ng mas lumalala pang mga ilegal na aktibidad ng China Coast Guard, partikular na sa mga panggagambala nito sa mga rotation at reprovisioning mission at pagpapatrolya ng mga barko ng Pilipinas sa West Philippine Sea. Bukod dito ay tinalakay din ng dalawa ang ilang usapin na may kaugnayan sa mutual strategic security interests at opportunities sa pagitan ng dalawang bansa para naman sa karagdagan pang military cooperations. Samantala, sabi pa ni Colonel Trinidad, sa naging phone call meeting na ito nina General Bronner at General Brown, ay sumasalamin sa muling pagpapatibay pa sa commitment ng dalawang bansa sa Philippines and US Alliance sa ilalim ng Mutual Defense Treaty, at gayon din sa pagtataguyod ng isang rules-based international order at shared vision ng isang malaya at bukas na Indo-Pacific region. Kinumpirma naman ni Appropriations Panel Chairman Representative Eli Zoldi Co. na nadagdagan ang pondo ng DOTR partikular sa Philippine Coast Guard para sa construction ng airbase, kasama dito ang pagtatayo ng runway at shelter port sa Lawak Island sa bahagi ng Ayungin Shoal sa West Philippine Sea.
Ng West Philippine Sea, tapos hopefully dun sa Lawak Island sa Ayungin Shoal. It's only around 30 minutes. Lalagyan na rin natin ng runway para hindi na nila pwedeng harangin unless may bomba sila sa taas ng eroplano. Sumpitin din nila yung eroplano. Wala tayong kahabulan sila. Pero yun ang long-term solution natin. This year, naglagay ho tayo ng almost 800 million sa Lawak Island. Malapit ho yun. Yun ang nearest island sa Ayungin Shoal. Para medyo mahirapan na rin siya. Then, meron pa ho kami solution na. Medyo mahirap lang ho i-telegraph sa media. Kasi medyo makakapag-strategize din ang ating mga kalaban sa China. Pero we're working on the infrastructure.
Nais naman ngayon ni Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri na makiisa ang Estados Unidos at iba pang kaalyado ng Pilipinas sa resupply mission ng bansa sa Ayungin Shoal sa harap ng patuloy na pagsalakay ng China.
Absolutely. I've been saying do joint patrols. I've been saying that from day one. Let's put the money where their mouth is for our allies, particularly our friends in the United States. Join us in joint patrols. Join us when we do a supply mission with Ayungin, in Ayungin shows with the BRP Sierra Madre. Join us on these joint patrols. Let's do it. Let's do it. And let's see. I don't know if these bullies will, just like a schoolyard bully. Sometimes they back off when they see that there's always a bigger classmate who will push them back. So that will be, that will be an option. That's one option. I'm sure the president's weighing that option. But of course, overall, the president is our foreign policy leader. He wants to make sure that we don't get dragged into a war with our biggest neighbor, China. But sometimes, Karen, sometimes we don't have a choice. What are we going to do? Just lie down and play dead and just say, okay, take over this whole West Philippine Sea. The hell do we care? No, because we do care. We love our country. We're not going to give up that territory. And there's many patriots in the Senate and in the House of Representatives who support our men and women in uniform who are defending the West Philippine Sea. We don't want war, but we should be prepared for it.
Naniniwala ang pinuno ng Senado na titimbangin din ni Pangulong Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos ang opsyon na iyon, bilang punong arkitekto ng patakarang panlabas ng Pilipinas. Gayunpaman, sisiguraduhin ni Marcos na ang Pilipinas ay hindi madadala sa isang digmaan sa China. Sabi ni Zubiri, ang kanyang mga pahayag ay kasunod ng pinakabagong pagpapaputok ng mga water cannon ng China laban sa mga sasakyang pandagat ng Pilipinas sa West Philippine Sea noong weekend. Ang dalawang magkahiwalay na pag-atake ng water cannon laban sa mga sasakyang pandagat ng Pilipinas ay umani ng matinding pagkondena mula sa iba't ibang sektor at iba pang bansa, kabilang ang US. Bilang tapat sa kanyang naunang pangako, inihayag ni Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri, na niratipikahan ng Senado ang pambansang budget sa susunod na taon, na kinabibilangan ng mga institusyonal na amendments na magbibigay ng higit na kinakailangang tulong sa defensive posture ng bansa sa West Philippine Sea.
Promising our armed services several months ago, because of the actions that are happening in the West Philippine Sea, that we have to put our money where our mouth is as well as legislators and help fund our armed services. And I'm happy to announce that the Senate, through my initiative and initiative Senator Sonny Angara and our senators, were able to add about 10.4 billion, 10,471 million to be exact, on these particular budgets for the DND, as well as the Coast Guard, the National Intelligence Coordinating Agency, the BIFAR, together with the Department of Environment and Natural Resources. If I may, to just in a nutshell, I don't want to telegraph our punches on national television, particularly those who are listening that are not very friendly to Philippine interests. But we had added about 6.1 billion to the Department of National Defense budget for protection of our skies, of our sea lanes. When I say protection, these are weapon systems. We got a budget for weapon systems that will protect our skies, will protect our sea lanes, and of course our armed services within the Philippine territory. I'd rather not give it in detail, but we also have a budget for the Philippine Coast Guard. Karen, remember when Commodore J. Tariela was complaining that they had such a small budget? Well, we added 2.8 billion to their budget. I think that was the biggest single increase in their budget ever. And with this 2.8 billion, 2.5 billion will be for 3 ships. We're going to give them 3 very large ships, as that's a down payment. And the good news, Karen, is we're already discussing a company that builds ships for Australian Navy, which is Austal, and we want to build it, and we got the approval of the president. We want to build it in Cebu, in Balamban. So these ships will be Philippine-made. Of course, it's Australian-owned company, but Philippine-made by the hands of Filipinos in the Philippines. And we're looking at they promised to try to bring down the delivery to 18 months, and I think. This is what's going to happen now. We just passed also yesterday, Karen, on third reading in the Senate, the SRDP, which is the Self-Reliance Defense Posture Program, which will now allow DND and the AFP and all the other agencies of government like the PNP to purchase defense equipment that are locally manufactured. So we're going to push start or jumpstart the local production of all this military equipment in country. So it can be a foreign-owned company coming to the Philippines, setting up shop in one of our PEZA zones, building armored personnel carriers, even aircraft, and the ships are going to be done in Cebu and Cavite for fast patrol crafts. So not only will it help protect our country, Karen, but it's going to also open up tens of thousands of jobs. The 3 ships, this 2.5 billion peso budget for 3 Coast Guard ships, they're looking at employing 3,000 employees in Balamban, Cebu, in their shipyard there just for these 3 ships alone. So imagine if we do that and replicate that all over the country.
Ibinunyag ni Zubiri na ang karagdagang budget na 10.47 billion pesos para i-upgrade ang kakayahan ng depensa ng bansa at mapahusay ang presensya sa West Philippine Sea, partikular, 6.17 billion pesos ang idinagdag sa budget ng Department of National Defense para sa Armed Forces of the Philippines, 2.8 billion pesos naman para sa Philippine Coast Guard, at 1 billion pesos para sa National Intelligence Coordinating Agency, at 500 million para sa Department of Environment and Natural Resources. Ang pondo, aniya, ay gagamitin sa pagbili ng karagdagang patrol ships at iba pang kagamitan sa depensa.
I don't want to give the exact number, but we have a lot of funds that are going into, of course, to support BRP Sierra Madre. We have funds that are going into preparing structures in the Kalayaan Islands. The idea, Karen, is we're not going to introduce new structures. We're not going to play China's game of building structures in the West Philippine Sea. Because, again, that would be contrary to UNCLOS. What we're trying to push for is the freedom of navigation and freedom of overflight in these areas, where any ship, including ours, can just visit Ayungin shoals, go for the day, go fishing there, and go their merry way. That's the way it's supposed to be. We have been slowly strengthening the structure on these resupply missions. Okay, of course, certain sectors of our military, including intelligence officials, are not allowed to say this. But I'm saying that I always tell them, you need the funds, we'll give it to you. No problem. And we've done it this year, and we're doing it again next year. And I think what is important is we strengthen the BRP Sierra Madre, but no additional structures, because some people have told us, why don't you build, it can be done. You can put stilts and build facilities on stilts in these areas. And we said, no, because that is going to be a violation of the UNCLOS. However, you're correct, Karen, we can repair BRP Sierra Madre because it is still an outpost of the AFP. It is it's still considered an active ship of the Navy. And therefore, what they're doing is, I think, of course, equipping it with the best internet systems. They're modernizing, of course, their equipment there, their telecommunications equipment, their lighting facilities, the solar panels. So we're trying to do our best in making that happen. But what is important is that we must affirm our right under the arbitral ruling that atin yan within the 200-mile economic zone. If we don't assert that right, Karen, if we just don't, we completely ignore them and do not assert that right, we're going to lose it eventually. They're going to continue building structures there, and definitely it will look like a province of China if we don't put our foot down. Kailangan malaman ng taong bayan yan, hindi po tayo nakikipag-away sa isang higanting bansa. Ang ginagawa po natin, pinoprotektahan po natin ang ating sariling soberenya sa ating sariling bansa. Ito'y ginawa po ni Jose Rizal, ginawa po ni Emilio Aguinaldo, at ginawa po ni Bonifacio ito. Itong mga ninuno natin, hindi po sila papayag na tatanggalin po itong teritoryo sa ating mga kamay po hawak ng ating bansa, kamay ng ating bansa. So we salute the President for that, we support the President for that, and we have delivered in this 2024 budget a bigger budget for them to do so, to protect us.
Kinumpirma naman ni Senator J.V. Ejercito sa isang panayam na siya at kasama niyang si Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri ay nakipag-usap sa mga opisyal ng French at Spanish kabilang ang mga shipbuilder na Naval Group at Navantia hinggil sa potensyal na supply ng mga barko, na parehong bago at second-hand, para sa Philippine Coast Guard at Philippine Navy, sa kanilang kamakailang mga paglalakbay sa Spain at France.
Just to tell you a story, in our foreign trips and our parliamentary visits, Karen, Senate President Mig Zubiri and I have been doing side trips, no? Looking at possible suppliers for our Navy, our Coast Guard. In France, we went to Normandy. We left at 8 a.m. in Paris, went back at 2 a.m. because we checked out the naval group, the different even submarines. In Japan, we did that also in Spain. So,
Yes.
on our part, quietly, Karen, we're not all talk, no? We are trying our best to equip our Navy and our Coast Guard with respectable equipment, no? Again, we have no intention of matching China's power, but we just have to put up that minimum credible defense posture, Karen.
Para sa mas madaming update tungkol sa ating defense, abangan lamang ang aking mga bagong video. Para naman sa mga gusto magpa-shoutout, mag-comment lamang po at share, paki-follow at like muna ng aming page na nasa description na ang link. Huwag mo na rin kalimutan mag-like, share, and subscribe. Pindutin mo na rin ang bell para updated kayo sa aking mga video. Maraming salamat po.